And now the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
This is Purple Playbook coming to you live from Jimmy's Famous Seafood. I'm Alex Glaze. Joining me, we got two-time Super Bowl champion Torrey Smith, Super Bowl champion Qadry Ismail, and WJZ's Ritter. Guys, I mean, football is here. How are we feeling ahead of this season?
Oh, I'm stoked. I think this is a great opportunity for the season to get off to the right start. I love the fact that they're going out against a team that's going to be hungry to try to prove themselves and let the fun begin.
Absolutely.
And this is the time it starts to feel real. You start to see football on your TV, the casuals, a lot of talking going on, not just Ravens ball, and you're excited about watching the young guys get their opportunities to go out there and earn their spot.
We're excited about the young guys, but I want to talk about some of the veterans, right? I want to talk about Lamar Jackson. Let's just get right to it. Everyone wants to know, is this the year that the Ravens get over the hump? Guys, just get right to it. Is this the year?
I mean, I would love to say yes, but it sounds political. But winning is so hard. This team has a chance, and that's a credit to Eric DeCosta and putting the roster together. Lamar Jackson looks the best he's ever been as a leader, and we know what he does when the lights turn on. And I think he's only going to get better. The weapons are there. The running game is there. This is arguably the most talented Ravens roster they've had. You can make that as a real argument. So you would like to say yes, but I know this isn't Madden. Injuries happen. You got to be able to win at the right time. So to me, I like to say there's a shot, but I'm not comfortable saying it's guaranteed to happen.
Rick, 11 All-Pros on this team. I mean, there's no excuse this year. We've heard that from the guys. No excuses.
There is no excuse. And not only did they put more pressure on themselves in a way, you go out and you make moves that you didn't necessarily need to make, but like you bring Chuck Pagano in, a little thing like that. Did you need Jair Alexander? Not necessarily, but you bolster the defense. Mike Green slips to them in the second round. Every little move was hopefully to take them over the hump because, guys, we all know that in the past couple of years, they easily could have been hoisting a Lombardi.
I think it's interesting because you talk about leadership, and yes, it's easy to say Lamar Jackson, but I think from a coaching staff leadership aspect of things, I think this is a year where John Harbaugh is going to have to pull out his inner Mr. Miyagi and recognize, how can I push the right buttons at the right time to keep this team focused? Every team is going to be gunning for them. Everybody is going to recognize the Ravens are on our schedule. We know they're a talented team. We're going to be their best. And if we beat them, it validates our season. I think he's going to have to lean upon himself as the ultimate team leader and set the tone. But then you also got guys like a Marlon Humphreys, who's in his 9th season, and he's already come out and said, hey, we want to be the defense that sets the tone like the 2000 Ravens defense, where they were the best in the league and one of the best all time. If you can have that mentality and have that level of standard, I don't see why not you can go ahead and say we're looking forward to playing in the Super Bowl.
Q, nobody knows that 2000 defense better than you. Can you see this defense getting to that level? That's the standard that they are reaching for. Can you see them reaching that?
I mean, it's an incredible standard, but I will say this, from the togetherness aspect of things, the chemistry that the 2000 team had was unbelievable. I think what I have seen so far in camp, guys like a Jair Alexander who brings the juice, if you will. You know, you've got the talent in the back end of things when you look at a young guy like a Malachi Starks going with a Kyle Hamilton, but then you also are talking about Mr. A high tide raises all ships and Roquan Smith. I think this defensive front needs to step up, and I think they will, but I think the pieces are in place to be a dominant defense.
And I was going to say, Torrey, we've asked you this question a lot. This guy's won 2 Super Bowls, one with Philadelphia, one with Baltimore. And the question we want to ask is, when did you know that your team had Super Bowl material? Because I know your answer to Philly, and it's interesting.
I knew it right away. When I was a little naive in Baltimore, you know, when we go, and our first year, we lose. My rookie year, we lose in the AFC Championship game, and I thought, man, we should have been going to the Super Bowl. Didn't watch it. I was a hater. I was a hater, the ultimate hater for everybody. And then the next year, we actually go and win it. And I knew what it felt like culturally. We had the leadership at the top. We had Ray Lewis, players that had been there. It was a different level of hunger. So then when I went to Philadelphia and I went there, I saw leadership at the top. I saw veteran players. I saw younger guys at the right spot. And I saw a healthy salary cap. And I started to recognize, like, teams that can make moves are teams that can go out there and win. And the Ravens are one of the best organizations in the league, and clearly the Philadelphia fits in that realm as well. But you can tell it's bigger than just the X's and O's. It's the culture aspect, and that's what fans don't really see from the outside looking in. It's about the trust that happens. It's about those tough conversations that happen on the sidelines during the game, and it's about those adjustments that are made from the coaches that are a little underappreciated at times. So I think Coach Harbaugh has done a great job of building a culture where everyone's bought in, and that's why this team has been in contention. And this is the year I feel like they're even better. So it's like they're closer to it. It's just about getting it done at the right time.
And guys, I don't think there has been a year where there are bigger expectations for this Ravens team than this year. Just looking at the schedule, those first 4 weeks, you have to go back to Buffalo, the team that ended your season last year. Then you have Cleveland, and then Detroit, and then Kansas City on a short week on the road. Just what do you think we're going to learn about this team those first 4 weeks of the season?
Throw me into the fire. If I want to walk the walk, I need to go out there and be tested. I know Detroit is going to be saying, hey, look, we should have been the NFC representative. I know from a Kansas City Chiefs aspect of things, they're like, nah, that was an aberration as far as what happened in the Super Bowl. Cleveland, while they're sitting there trying to figure out who their quarterback is, they're still a division opponent. And let's go ahead and talk about Buffalo. You got to go up to Buffalo and be like, yo, if we expect to be this team that is a juggernaut, why don't we just go up there, whoop up on them, and just say last year was last year. Ha ha. We ain't worried about all the things as far as the mentality of it all. That's what you're looking at when you're talking about trying to play and be that upper tier, that upper echelon team. Let's go out there and play against those upper echelon teams.
And even bigger than that, you talk about it's always 1 week at a time. But let's be honest here. There are heavy playoff implications in the first week of the season. Yes. So you can't afford to go out there and move slowly and react slowly and fall asleep. You can't. And the word pressure is kind of funny to me when it comes to this team because Lamar Jackson has been the best player in the NFL for a few years. If anyone asks him about pressure, like, what does that mean? I don't know what it's like to be the best player in the league. And everyone knows when you walk out there, when you get off the bus, that this is the baddest dude, and we have to stop him and that offense for us to have a chance. So I think pressure is something they're comfortable with. Now it's about delivering the results, and that's the difference in these first 4 weeks, which can put them out in front in a confident place that can really carry them through the season.
All right, well, before we get to the regular season, we have a couple more weeks of training camp. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've been out of training camp. We're going to talk about some of the guys that have stood out to us so far throughout this Ravens camp. Stay with us. We have more Purple Playbook live at Jimmy's Famous Seafood coming up after this.
The Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. And now the winning prognosis, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook, guys. All right, we are in the thick of training camp. We've been boots on the ground for a couple weeks now. Just who are some of the guys that have stood out to you so far in camp?
I've loved watching Marlon Humphrey play corner out there. I mean, he looks great physically, but he's out there. I've seen him play inside. I'm watching him play outside. And when you talk about Jair Alexander coming in and Nate Wiggins, you're like, well, where's Marlon going to fit in? What role are they going to play? He's the guy that has the ability to cover Travis Kelce. He's the guy that has the ability to cover their best receiver if he needs to. He's the guy that has the ability to cover in the slot. And he can play safety if he needs to. And I think he's really showing his versatility right now. And it's going to allow this team to do a lot of creative things on the defensive side of the ball, especially with the league's best Swiss Army knife in Kyle Hamilton.
Absolutely. I want to stick with the DBs. Jair Alexander is a guy that has stood out to me. I mean, instant energy, a guy that really has just changed the vibe of that whole secondary. I mean, obviously they have the talent, but it seems like everyone's just playing a lot more freely because Jair has just unlocked some level of, I don't know what it is, comfortability just among them. And obviously, Jair is a guy that has dealt with injuries throughout his career, but when healthy, he is one of the best in the league. So if they can get a healthy Jair Alexander, I think that's a big deal for this Ravens secondary.
I think if you look at depth, and more depth, I think it has to go over to the offensive side of the ball, and I would say Tez Walker. I think when you look at the receiving core as a whole, the more weapons Lamar has, this is a long season. We don't know as far as who's going to be dinged up from week to week, but we do know if you have depth, it's going to be harder for the defense to hone in on just one guy. Love how he has that long stride. He's improved his route running. He's shown up as far as his ability to show his hands and catch radius. He's a taller X receiver that the Ravens really don't have when it comes to that X receiver spot in a long time. I think he's a strong complement to what Zay Flowers and Bateman can bring to the table, and of course, DeAndre Hopkins as the veteran. So if I were to say one guy, it'd be Tez Walker.
You know what's funny? When we talk about that Buffalo game, everybody mentions the Mark Andrews drop pass, the mistakes that they made. We all seem to forget that Zay Flowers missed that game. So depth is everything. Having a guy that can step up in that position and win one-on-one when called upon. For me, on the defensive side in training camp, it's Mike Green, who I alluded to earlier, a guy who easily could have gone top 15. The way he goes one-on-one, his motor, you talked about the dip earlier, it's the bend, how low he can get. He's a game changer on defense. And again, another guy that brings that nastiness, trying to get back to that swag like the defense had when you played.
It's interesting because you look at what the defense didn't do last year, and to your point, Torrey, Marlon Humphrey, he's saying, I'm challenging us to be better, to create turnovers. To create turnovers, you need pressure on the quarterback. Mike Green, a.k.a. mini Elvis Dumervil, Raven fans will know who he is. He is a disruptor, and I think that is something that you need on your defense. Also, I think Roquan Smith, whoever plays opposite of him, I think that they're going to have some big shoes to fill and make sure that they are playing on point. But yes, pressuring the offensive weapons, whomever they're going to be facing that quarterback, is of the utmost importance.
Absolutely. And Torrey, I just want to go back to the receivers for a second because you mentioned, we were talking about Tez Walker, just the arrival of DeAndre Hopkins. How have you seen him throughout camp just kind of take those young receivers under his wing? Even guys like, Rashad Bateman, a guy who's, obviously established his own, but, how have you seen DeAndre kind of fit into the receiver room?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I've learned is not even from watching him on the field, it's from asking, right? When you're able to talk to Zay and some of the guys and just see his veteran eyes when it comes to film, little moves, how to take care of his body, which is the biggest thing you can learn from a vet. I knew nothing about recovery besides the cold tub until I became a Baltimore Raven and watched Anquan talk about his body, talk about having a routine. I used to just go out there and be like, all right, practice time, let me get a couple little stretches in. Like I didn't know when you went to the league, they didn't have everybody in a line and warm you up like they do in youth football in high school, a little bit of college. I didn't know any of that. And so he taught me how to have a routine. And when you have a guy like that, similar to when Zay came here, I'm like, hey, dude, you need to get a massage therapist. You need to get this, you need to get that. And connecting with people in the area, having a guy like Hopkins, who's been there for some years, he really knows how to take care of his body, and that just rubs off on those players.
What does that add when you have those good vets like that are bringing those good habits for the young guys?
It's a mindset of being a professional. And if you can be a professional and understand the little details, that's going to pay dividends on Sundays. My, professional understanding moment came from when Shannon Sharp and I were in the meeting room. We're going over the offense. I've gone over that offense 3 or 4 different years, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I'm starting to doze off. He goes, hey, Q, let's take these notes. It was his 1 or 2 phrases that from that point forward, I was like, you know what? If this Hall of Famer is telling me I need to go ahead and not act like I arrived, then I need to go ahead and make sure I know, okay, I've seen this route 1,000 times. Let me make a new note on there. Let me go ahead and talk about what I need to do with my split or with my stance and write that down so I can have a mental image picture. That's what a DeAndre Hopkins can do to guys who are still growing as receivers. It's always constant learning. It's always trying to refine your craft. The moment you think you arrived is the moment you're going to be out of the league.
Absolutely. And John Harbaugh has kind of alluded to potentially playing some veterans in the preseason, but I don't think we're going to see any of the main guys. Just as we get closer to the regular season, though, what are these guys doing? How are they getting ready for the season? Throughout practice, when there's not that contact, there's not really that high level of effort. What are you seeing in those practices?
You are going hard because that's the best way for you to get in shape. You have to make a game-like. And I'm about to laugh a little bit because those practices do not look like what they looked like when I was here. I think Coach Harbaugh is doing a great job of working them, but also he's doing a great job of slowing it down so that they're able to protect their body. So shout out to analytics for changing the mind of the great Coach Harbaugh. I think you're doing a great job, but the players know where they need to be and when. Coach Harbaugh also knows where they need to be and when. So everything each week, it's not about being great now. It's about being sharp but continuing to build each and every week so that you're not peaking early, but you're ready when September comes.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to give some predictions for the season, and Torrey and Q give their thoughts on where this Ravens team finishes the season. We're going to have more Purple Playbook when we come back. Stay with us.
The Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. And now the bottom line, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. All right, guys, as we look to the season, let's take a look at the AFC North. Let's start there. Tough division, one of the toughest divisions in football. Aaron Rodgers coming to the division now. The Browns still trying to figure it out. Joe Burrow, healthy. 2 receivers, taken care of financially. Just how do you see the Ravens making out in the division this year?
I still think the Ravens are the best team in the division, right? I think it's the division is always tough, so you never want to disrespect anybody. And there's a very dangerous player on the Cleveland Browns that we're not talking about by the name of Joe Flacco, who scares me to death. So I think when you talk about the division as a whole, it's very solid, it's very competitive. But that's the AFC North. That's how it is each and every year. It's not like the AFC East where the Patriots were able to roll through it each and every year, respectfully, because the division stunk. You have to bring it each and every week. And when you talk about this Ravens team in the AFC North, you have to be able to run it. The Ravens check the box. You have to be able to make the big-time plays and have weapons. The Ravens check that box. So it's just business as usual. You just have to go out there and take care of it because these other teams have gotten better. And if you look at what the Bengals have done with their team, drafting an athletic D lineman, everyone's bolstering up to beat the Ravens. The Ravens are the standard in the AFC North.
I'm a little concerned when it comes to this. This is a division. Yes, you have Lamar Jackson that sits up at the top, but I think Joe Burrow is out to prove himself. He's a dangerous quarterback when he has that chip on his shoulder. We saw the numbers that he put up against the Ravens. Mother of pearl. Yeah. That ain't good. Aaron Rodgers has something to prove. DK Metcalf is showing that, hey, look, I'm no slouch. I still can be an upper-tier elite wide receiver. There's a lot of question marks, yes, in Cleveland, but you still got Myles Garrett, and that dude's going to be coming off the edge as well. And he's a monster and a trouble to be handled with. I think the way in which the Ravens approach each and every division game is going to be critically important when you're talking about seeding in the playoffs. Clearly, you got to go through your division if you want to have that higher seed in the playoffs.
I was going to say, I think that on Sunday, certain fans look at certain teams. Maybe Cleveland is one of those teams where you're like, hey, we're going to roll over them. But you're exactly right. You think 2 years ago, Joe Flacco, what he was able to do in that offense with David Njoku, Cleveland's not going to be an easy out. Pittsburgh's not going to be an easy out. And you could argue, at least on the offensive side of the ball, Cincinnati and Joe Burrow, who feels like he has something to prove, are just as talented as any offense in the league.
It's 2025. We don't have to keep doing this with Joe Flacco.
He's out there, man. I've been in the huddle with him. That's a bad man.
We don't have to keep doing it.
We'll talk about Torrey's board like that.
The thing that scares you the most about Joe Flacco is like the thing that scares me about a lot of like top tier. But he's fearless, right? Like those are the guys you have to worry about. The guys that are carefree.
Nothing
the guys
to lose.
that aren't worried about. There's a gunslinger by the name of Brett Favre that didn't care about anything, right? So like when you have guys like that are playing free, they're not afraid to take risks. Those are the guys that can really hurt you if they get hot.
Absolutely. All right, as we wrap this up, I want to ask you, bring it back to the Ravens. Who is a player that nobody's talking about right now that you think is going to have major contributions this season?
Teddy Buchanan.
Okay.
Teddy Buchanan, middle linebacker. He can play the mic and the wheel. I think his versatility is going to be awesome. Roquan Smith is going to love him.
That's a tough question, man. I feel like it's hard to measure because it had to be one of them rookies that really step up. But, I mean, obviously Mike Green's in a great spot for that. Right. But we're talking about him, right? I mean, everyone loves him up here. I think it's really hard because there's so many veterans that are in spots that they're kind of anchored down. There's going to be – who's that guy that's going to be like for our Super Bowl year, the Pernell McPhee, right? The role player that comes in and takes full advantage of it, right? There are guys that have to step up in their roles that end up turning into stars down the line.
Maybe not in every game. Tylan Wallace. You know, we're talking about all these receivers. There's going to be 2 games this year where Tylan Wallace comes and makes a big game-deciding play. He just does. That's what he does.
Well, with that being said, look at the history of Bateman and Zay. Somebody's going to get banged up. So one of these guys are going to have an opportunity to step up.
Especially when they're in the color rush jerseys. Tylan loves those color rush jerseys. That's what he does. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to wrap the show. When we come back, we have a big announcement, and we are going to tell you which Ravens player will be joining the season from Jimmy's. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. And now the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. As we wrap up the show, we have a big announcement. Who is going to be joining us throughout the season here at Jimmy's? Here's the announcement.
What's up, Ravens flock? It's Isaiah Likely here, and I'm proud to announce I will be hosting the WJZ Purple Playbook show at the one and only Jimmy's Famous Seafood this season. Come out, show love, pat the house as prepared for this year. See you there.
All right, Isaiah Likely. How about that? Back again. Isaiah, so good last year on the show. Obviously dealing with some injuries right now, but everyone hopeful that Likely will be back week 1.
Yeah, I'm hoping from a standpoint, just from a fan base aspect of things, that he does come back. Extremely talented player, but more importantly, just his charisma as far as being able to interact with the fan base. I think he'll make a great addition to the show.
Yep.
12 personnel, 2 tight ends. That's when this offense is the most dangerous. Not having him out there, to me, it hurts. It changes that dynamic a little bit, but we know he'll be good.
Yeah, he'll love just a little bone. He'll be all right. I think it's drink a little bit of milk. He'll be fine. But I think he's going to be great. We enjoyed having him here on the show, and more importantly, having his health in general. Forget playing. You want his health to be back to normal because he's a great kid, and he's going to have a huge year for this team.
Absolutely. Lamar loves his tight ends. He loves Mark Andrews. Likely has grown to be one of his favorite targets, and we just saw the other day in practice, Charlie Kohler has taken that step too in Likely's absence.
And perhaps a contract extension. In the
all
midst of
those
the
guys,
season.
it's contract year for all those guys, so big year for the tight ends. So we are happy that Isaiah Likely will be joining us right here throughout the season at Jimmy's Seafood on Purple Playbook. All right, that's going to do it for this week's Purple Playbook. For Torrey Smith, Qadry Ismail, Rick Ritter, I'm Alex Glaze. Thank you for watching us. We do this show every week, and we will be back next week as we get closer to that regular season. Thanks for watching.